Hello, World of Tank Blitzers. It's a Littlefinger. First, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. This video is going to be a comparison of the VK90.01p, which is the 2019 Snow Globe tank, and the AMX M4, which is obviously the tank in the Snow Globes this year with a 1% drop chance. I've been very fortunate collecting gold throughout the year on various different deals. Did want to make sure everyone was aware. Really good deals here in the store right now. You can see I've already picked up the 7,500 gold for 10 bucks and cashed in 2 of the rare boxes for $2 each. So spent about $14 and gotten 10,000 gold. I'll definitely be picking up this big box here. 1,000 gold per dollar is unheard of, and just an amazingly great deal. So don't pass that up if you still have that available. Obviously, you need to fill it up before you buy it. And so that brings me to this year and the snow globes. Last year I was not very lucky whatsoever. I did not pursue the snow globes that much, but those of you that got the tanks in the snow globe events, I know spent upwards of $300 to $500 worth of gold getting snow globes to eventually get this tank. So what I thought would be interesting for those of you that have spent a good bit of money this year on the AMX, and maybe you weren't so lucky with the snow globes, just do a little comparison. See which Christmas tank is better. I was very fortunate. I got 2 snow globes for free. I think that was some sort of glitch. Turned those into gold, which I was then even more lucky to continue to get snow globes, and finished up with 9 snow globes. Was looking at the number of wins, like 480 more wins that I had to go, and I said, you know what, I'm just dropping, I think it was at the time 18,000 gold. Let's go ahead and get this tank and try it out. So both of these tanks have high expectations in my opinion, and you've heard so many good things about both of them. Well, armor wise from the front, they are both super amazing, and we'll get into that here in a second. Downside with the VK is you've only got 4 degrees of gun depression over the front, which once you get over the track wheel there does go down to 10 degrees, but then once you start over angling, if you've got your gun out here, this is a weak spot. It's a slower tank, but it doesn't have a huge cupola like the AMX does. These 2 spots I found are very penetrable already, even with the tank being new. This tank has a lot more speed, and we'll get into all of that here in a second. So what better way to compare these than using blitzstars.com? I've been doing this all year. Great website. Please check them out, guys, and considering being a patron to help support keeping all of this information free and available to all of us. So AMX on the left, VK on the right, and as you can see, slight advantage to the VK and damage per minute and pen. A little bit more alpha on the AMX. Apart from that, you're really not going to notice much difference, caliber or shell velocity. Reload a little bit longer on the AMX than that VK. Weapon handling. Basically, these guns are very, very similar. Look at that, 2.26 aim time, marginal 3% difference in dispersion. And as I said before, I think the big thing here is that this is a little deceptive with only 4 degrees off the front of this tank that angles out to about 6 or 7 where you really want to be best angled in the tank. So really, I would say the AMX has better gun depression. And here we go into the speed. 45 kilometers, huge difference over the VK. It's going to get you a little bit in better spots. And what I find the most with the VK is I'm getting circled and shot from the sides. And granted, guys, in this review, I've only played each of these tanks a handful of times. I know I will be able to get better over time. But these are my initial assessments of this tank. Hit points, we've got a slight advantage to the AMX, and Obviously, as we've been saying, the VK does have more armor. As you can see here, 230 on the front hull, 300 on the turret for both of these, but more armor on the sides and rear of the VK. So let's switch on over to Armor Inspector, and here's the VK shooting at the VK. And as you can see, very, very small cupola pen spot, but the rest of this turret is just massive. Lower glacis, as the same with every tank. This is a weak spot on all tanks, but as you can see, only 4 degrees of gun depression here. So as we rotate this tank, you'll see we do start to lose some um, of that armor on the side cheeks. Now we're getting a little bit into the hull, and now we've completely over rotated this tank. So you want to kind of sit somewhere in here with the gun barrel about over the front back of the, that front drive wheel there, and as you can see, it's about 7 degrees of gun depression. So makes this tank a little bit tricky to play. But if we switch on over to the AMX, look how big these cupolas are, and fairly easy to pen from what I've seen. Again, the lower glaciers, the weak spot, right? As we start to angle, you'll notice here we get the corners of the tank being a weak spot, which makes this tank a little bit harder to side scrape. As you're pulling back, you're going to expose this part of the tank. So really what you want to be doing in this tank is getting into a nice hold down position, trying to use that 8 degrees of gun depression, and you might be showing about that much of the cupola when you do that. So really that's the strength of this tank, is just face hugging somebody. Hopefully you're higher than their gun and they can't see your cupolas. But with both of these tanks, once you're exposed on the sides, the tanks are penable. Alright guys, here is my very first battle in this tank, and it's not an extremely great game or anything. It does give you a good flavor for this tank, but I will say it's one of the few close games that I had in the tank, and that, I believe, is a little bit of a hindrance to my being able to do a really full review on this tank, which is why I thought I would compare the two. You'll see here we are getting up to top speed, and I can't type and drive at the same time on my tablet, so I didn't want to be rude, and any of you guys that see me in battle that say 07, I really do mean to type back, but it is not always possible for me with my stupid tablet issues. But again, want to find hold down positions where we can maximize this tank's armor. And right off the bat there, you'll see 2 nice block shots, proving just how strong the turret armor is on this tank. Those are the kind of players right there that I've seen so many times right now. I'm assuming it's it's event related, but when you lose a tank that quickly in a battle, not even a minute gone by, it really does change the outcome of these games, and it's a little bit disappointing. So want to make sure we get turned back to this Objects 263. Flying IS-8 coming in here allows us to get a shot onto the side of the 260. So nice little snapshots. Wasn't aiming there, or waiting for the dispersion to go down. So quite accurate with the gun, which is one thing I do like about this tank. So difficult situation is we got tanks on our left and our right. Can't pen that object, so we switch over to the premium AP, but the shot goes high. Did not really mean to leave it on the premium ammo. That was a mistake on my part there. Another bounce. And I think this is going to be common here as another shot goes high. But people are still getting used to the armor profile on this tank, and where they can and can't shoot. So we take over 500 damage from getting rammed and shot by the Leopard, but we're still alive. 4 on 3. Gonna use his dead carcass there to try to protect our lower plate. And just hold on as much as we can here. Finally get one to go where we were aiming, but it cost us 2 shots from that T-57, so that was a bad play on my part, really. We'll just keep it on the E50 here, but a nice close battle, and like I said, I just not have seen very many of these, and really many tier 10 battles lately. It's feast or famine. The teams are so lopsided. So it was kind of nice to show a game there that came down to the last tank as we come up with the statistics here. 2639. So decent damage, not great. 1000 EXP. We did make credits, which is a good thing at tier 10. A lot of the tech tree tanks will not make you credits even in a win. Alright guys, so here's another game on Yamato Harbor. Unfortunately, this is going to be one of those lopsided teams. Couldn't do much to avoid getting these teams. And it does statistically really makes a difference on this tank. But what I do want to point out is using this tank's speed to get into a nice position. The team's called C. I like C. I can use these hills to get hull down. It's much easier to hide that lower plate here than on the ship, where you oftentimes have to be very wary of shots coming in from different angles. At least knowing this, I can get primarily to the outside of the map and just be worried about shots coming in from one direction. Now, might be a good time for me to really point out my one word of advice, is that the armor or these tanks are not as good as the hype. You know, see here, looking at, even though I'm not in a good position to get the gun depression down, look at the cupolas on the opposing AMX, right? So, I mean, they're not huge, but they're certainly shootable. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, so my biggest key, and I know that this Sheridan is just waiting for me to shoot so he can peek over and put a shot into me. So, really difficult play at the beginning of this game, having the AMX and that Sheridan there. Thankfully, he doesn't have missiles to shoot me with, but we trade shots there. But to my point, you'll see I am very cautious in this game with the tank and with the armor, and that is key. Do not get a feeling of overconfidence because you've heard such great things about the armor profile on these tanks, because all that's going to do is put you into positions where you're going to get surrounded or shot from multiple directions. So be very cognizant, like this E100 trying to come in here. You know, not much I can do about it, but we are lucky there as we've bounced that AMX several times now. Almost 1,000 damage. But if you look on the other side, a lot of very low hit point tanks. Just make sure I go ahead and get a clear pen there, and seem to that have worked out for me. So we're up several tanks now. It's really just a matter of cleaning up. But again, I think that's my advice for both of these tanks. And I'm going to do a game here in the VK, and I'll talk about which one I prefer off the bat. It's just the armor is pretty troll. At that point, I didn't even care that he was going to shoot me. I just wanted to get my shot in and get the kill. And there we do 3k damage and blocked 1360. So effective use of the tank on the hold down position. I will play this tank a lot more. I think there's certain things I could potentially learn to get a little bit better, but again, you look at this, 3 zeros on one team. They had no chance. And that's just the luck of hitting that battle at the right time, the battle button. But anyway, let's jump into the VK game. Alright guys, so here we are with the VK90.01p. Now, as far as it goes for me, I really struggle with this 4 degrees of gun depression over the front of this tank. I am not an expert at positioning on maps where I can effectively use this armor and get shots off, you know, over the front drive wheel there, where the gun depression starts to increase to 6 to 7 to 8 degrees, right? But remember, it gets to 10 degrees once you get off the complete side of the tank. The Fluffiest Seal, fellow Cruel member, puts up an amazing fight in this game, so want to commend him, but also shame him for not giving me worthy opponent in this game. So yeah, the gig's up. He was turned. He's ready to move. He is getting out of there, and you would be hard-pressed to believe if I told you he's going to be top damage on this team, as he walks away wounded with only 400 hit points left. To me, this game, this map is dominated by this corner. If you can hold this corner, you can have your way on this map. As get a nice shot into the chieftain there. I was kind of willing to trade a shot if I had to, but now we've got ourselves into a nice side scraping position. I've got the tank where I want it, where I can, you know, get that gun elevation or depression down. And patience. It is the key. Many times I might have in this game said, you know what, nothing's happening, I'm going to make something happen, and I'm going to push, and find myself getting into a lot of trouble. So regardless of the fact that both of these tanks have really, really nice armor, patience is the key. Poor old chieftain. Right. So again, still being patient. I know it's pretty boring. So we can finally get rid of the poor chieftain. So, as to which tank I like better, I am going to say that I like the AMX better initially. I think with a little bit more training in this tank, the VK may be slightly better tank. And that is because I am much more comfortable finding hold down positions where I can, you know, use those ridge lines to hide those cupolas as much as possible, as I am with this tank, and, you know, just the 4 degrees of gun depression. I have had some really horrendous games in this tank. And I thought for sure that that guy would be able to go finish off old Fluffy over there. As we're battling this ISX, the IS-8, it's I don't know, there goes the kill. It's 3 on 2. There's Fluffy over there. I'm not gonna be able to chase him down. The only thing I can do at this point in time is go retake A. We've put in 4,400 damage. We've blocked 3,300. And those are the type of numbers that you can put up in this tank. I like the AMX for its mobility. It's a little bit more straightforward. But both of these are excellent tanks. And keep in mind, guys, I know the excitement's there. You want to get them as soon as possible. I picked up this VK in a lucky crate in the fall. I think it was around Halloween. So just because you don't get it this Christmas, be patient. Just like you have to be when you drive this tank. Be patient. It'll be back for sale or in crates as we finish off the fluffiest seal and finish off that game there with 4,454 damage, and there's Fluffy there at 4,600. So pretty amazing game that he had on very low hit points. But he had that poor old chieftain on his side. So with that, guys, that concludes my comparison of the VK and the AMX 2019 and 2020 Halloween Globe. Halloween. Why do I always fucking say Halloween? Christmas Globe event. Alright, guys, with that, have fun out there. Stay safe. Get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.